Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be me giving you guys a couple of really good shows that you can watch on Netflix that are in the horror and the sci-fi genre. I'm a big fan of horror movies and sci-fi movies, and I already did a video, my previous video I did on my favorite drama TV shows, which those shows don't come on Netflix. I believe like one or two of them did, but the other ones didn't come on Netflix. So I wanted to give you guys some shows that if you have Netflix, which I know a lot of people do, that you can watch. Because let's just be real, a lot of us are sitting at home and you don't have anything to do and you want something interesting and entertaining to watch. So I'm going to give it to you guys. But before I do that, if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you don't miss when I upload. I'm trying to be consistent here with you guys. I'm hoping that 2021 can be my year. I'm hoping that I can finally get up to 1,000 subscribers. So I just have a lot of plans for my channel, and I'm going to make sure that I just, no matter what, keep myself encouraged and just keep pushing no matter what, because I do genuinely enjoy doing these videos for you guys, and I really hope that y'all are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. Please feel free to comment down below and let me know what kind of content you want to see, what kind of video ideas do you have. Like I said, I've been saying the last couple of videos, I want to get more into talking with my subscribers and being vocal with you all and letting y'all be vocal with me and tell me what you guys want to see on this channel. So hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video, and let's get into these shows. All right, guys, the first show that we're going to talk about is, it's not a show, it's a movie, and it's a movie that's about a zombie apocalyptic world, which is one of my favorite type of horror sci-fi films to watch is zombie films. The reason I really like these kind of movies is because it's interesting to see what directors and writers do with their zombies, because I feel like a lot of people will do different things with their zombies, like the zombies on The Walking Dead. They're not really like, they're slow, they're not really as fast as the zombies on 28 days or weeks later. You know, those were kind of like more violent. Oh, excuse me, guys. More violent, wild, really fast running zombies, which I always say I would have hated to encounter those zombies on 28 days, 28 weeks later, or because they were like so fast and you probably would have no chance of getting away from them. And then you have the zombies on this movie, which is called Alive. And these zombies, they were blind. So, you know, you could try to sneak around them, but it would have been really hard to do. So on this movie, that's how the zombies were. The zombies were blind. They couldn't see you. You try to navigate and keep quiet. And, you know, of course, it was a really hard thing to do. So in this movie, I wrote the names down because I didn't want to forget the names on the movie. It was filmed in 2020, and this is a Korean zombie film. This is actually, well, it's not my first Korean zombie movie that I've watched, but I really enjoyed this one. The outbreak starts in this movie, well, where they show the outbreak. First place they show it happening is like in this really packed apartment complex. So the apartment complex has hundreds and hundreds of apartments. They're stacked up really high, like nothing that I've ever, you know, seen here in the United States. I've never seen apartment buildings with so many apartments in it. So that would be the worst place to be during a zombie outbreak, because everything was so close and cramped. So many people were around. So you can imagine that the outbreak just went out of control very quickly. Okay, so Jun Woo, he's one of the main characters on the movie. He ends up getting caught up in his apartment because he was just sitting there, you know, waiting for his parents to get home, and they just never showed up. And then all this stuff started happening. They did try to call him, and which was very sad because obviously, you know, they ended up not making it, spoiler. And he ends up just trapped inside that apartment for weeks and weeks on end because he sees what's going on outside, and he wasn't trying to go out there. There was one guy, a neighbor, that tried to get in, and he was infected. So, he had to get rid of him. And then once he saw what was going on, he just stayed inside the apartment, locked in there. He thought he was the only one there, but then he ends up seeing somebody across the apartment complex that's still alive, a girl, and her name is Yo Ben, and they work together to get to each other because they have to figure out how they're going to get to each other without making all that noise because she is far away. And so eventually they do end up meeting with each other, and then they start making a plan to find out if they're the last ones. Can they get up somewhere to the roof to try to flag for help? But they end up encountering another person who's alive in the apartment complex, and this person is not as trying to be helpful as they were trying to be to each other. This person has a screw loose or whatever, which I guess it could be kind of understandable because that would be really crazy if that happened for real. But he ends up being off his rocker and almost cost them their lives where they didn't almost get out their situation. So I would definitely go watch that movie. As far as zombie apocalyptic situation movies go, I would say that it was a really good film. It kept me interested. I really didn't know what to expect, and I believe it was you didn't need subtitles because I think they had them speaking in English. So it's a really good movie, guys. So I definitely go watch that. If you're somebody who really likes zombie movies, you'll really like this movie. And it's a lot of action in it with them, fighting the zombies and everything. And it's a good movie, good watch. So moving on to movie number 2. Okay, this movie really creeped me out when me and my husband watched it because it really creeped me out. Like I had nightmares about it after I watched it. So it's called Assimilate, and it's a film. It was filmed in 2019, and the movie starts out with the two characters, Zach and Randy, and they're trying to make like a web series showing around their town. They don't get a lot of views. I can relate. They don't get a lot of views on their YouTube channel. They're trying to just film stuff around town, hoping that they'll catch something, crazy, something that'll, make their YouTube pop off or whatever. And so they end up filming some weird stuff going around in town. So one of their neighbors noticed like some weird little creatures are crawling on her garden or whatever. And once they saw that, then that's when they started noticing a lot of stuff about the people around the town. Like people were starting to just act really weird, start to act like out of the norm. They were acting like just emotionless, just weird. So they knew something was going on. So the more and more they started investigating the adults that were acting weird in town, the more and more they realized that something wasn't right. So once they started realizing something wasn't right, they ended up finding out that the people in the town were being replaced with copies of themselves, really creepy copies of themselves that acted just really, the way that they acted was just so creepy because they were just so dead. You could tell that they were just, they were copies, they just had no emotion whatsoever. And they would do like this weird thing where they would open their mouths like ridiculously wide. And that's what I was having the nightmares about because I was like, that mess is creepy. So anyway, they were trying to basically make everybody assimilate, everybody turn into a copy, kill off the real one and use the copy so they can take over. So the movie's about them, trying to escape that, trying to see what they could do to turn the situation around, which was really nothing that they could do because once the people had been a copy had been made of them, the other original person would be killed. So it was a really good movie, really creepy. And if something like that started happening around my town, I don't know. It's a good movie, guys. So really go and check that one out. Okay, guys, this third movie that I want to tell you about is called A Monster's Call, and it's based off a book as well, which I didn't even know that it was based off a book. And this movie was filmed in 2016, and I noticed it on Netflix, and I was like, I never seen this movie before. My husband had put it on, and we started watching it, and it turned out to be way better than what I was expecting, once I gave it a chance. So the movie is about a little boy. The little boy is named Connor, and his mother, she's terminally ill. She has cancer. His father, he's moved away to America. He has a new family. He only comes and visits him sometimes. He has to live with his grandmother, and she's more strict, and he just misses his home life and just misses his mother. He's dealing with the emotions that he doesn't really know how to handle because he is a child, about being scared and worried about his mother, and ultimately he has to learn how to deal with the grief of his mother passing. And so there's a mythical creature. His mother would tell him stories of this creature, of a healing tree called the yew tree that would heal, and she would share the stories with him to try to make him try to make him feel like things were going to get better, to tell him that positive story that the yew tree would heal her. And so whenever he would come into moments of just really extreme frustration and sadness, the yew tree would come to him, and the yew tree would tell him that it was going to tell him three tales, and these tales really helped Connor to learn how to deal with his emotions and his grief. And I felt like this was a really good movie. The yew tree in the movie was kind of creepy and scary for children, I believe, but not for adults. But I felt like it would be a good movie for older kids to watch, to help them understand how to handle their emotions. But anyway, guys, sorry, I had to pause again. But anyway, I feel like it's a good movie to help anybody kind of understand how to deal with their emotions when they're going through a really hard time, especially when a loved one is like terminally ill. So this movie is a really, really good watch. I would actually put this as the number one movie on this list that you should definitely watch, because it was great. It was a really good and moving and touching movie. It was a movie that I definitely watch a second time. All right, guys. The next movie is called Our House, and it's about a boy who his name is Ethan. He's in college. He's really wrapped up in trying to make an invention for wireless energy. Him and his friends, they're going out their way to work really hard on this project. They end up sneaking into the school to try to use the resources there to make this device work. So they end up going to the school and trying to practice using the device, and while they're trying to use the device, they don't notice that there's like some kind of smoky black entity that comes out of the machine while they're running it. And so the power ends up getting blowed in the building. They leave because they don't want to get caught by the school, because they don't have permission to be there. And so the boy has kind of issues with his parents because they feel like he needs to come around more. He's too wrapped up in other things that he's doing, but he's not trying to hear that because he's just too focused on what he's got going on in college and his invention. So the parents end up passing away in an accident, and he ends up having to give up school, come home, and take care of his brother and sister, Becca and Matt. I believe their name is Becca and Matt. Yes, Becca and Matt. So he ends up having to come and take care of them, which is a whole different change for him, because essentially, those are his siblings, but he has to become a parent now. And so he's still obsessed with that invention. He still wants to work on it, and he keeps working on it at home. And then they start noticing that some strange things are happening around the house. Now, Becca, his little sister, was the one who noticed first, because something was coming to her, and she was thinking that it was her parents and her mother, coming to comfort and talk to her. Well, long story short, it was not. it was not her mama. It was some evil entity that wanted him to keep turning on that device so it could be strong enough to just, materialize and just wreak havoc. But before they figured all that out, they were going along thinking that, oh, that was their parents trying to reach them. And so he ends up even enlisting the neighbor and helping him get more power to the device, because every time he tries to run the device, it needs a lot of power and it'll throw the power. So he asked the neighbor, oh, will you help me? So he gets the neighbor involved in his mess. And so the neighbor ends up seeing his deceased wife and ends up going crazy and ends up stealing the device. And then that's when Ethan starts realizing that that's not their parents at all, that it's some kind of evil entity. And so Ethan has to go to battle, basically has to go over there and knock her neighbor out after he has to borrow some extra power to run his device. He ends up having to get into it with him to take the device from him, because he ends up losing it because he's seeing his wife and getting all in his feelings and stuff. So he had to go and get that device from him and stop him from running it before it was too late. So that was a good movie. It turned out different than what I expected, but I know that if I was running the device, even if it did bring back my dead loved ones, I wouldn't mess with that witchcraft. So that was just crazy. So it's a really good watch. So definitely go and check that one out. All right, guys. Now I'm about to get into the TV series. Now, I know maybe a lot of people are not into this one, but I really enjoyed it. The Dark Crystal TV series, I really enjoyed it. It's more of like a fantasy, so I guess I can put it in the sci-fi genre, but like a fantasy film. And it's about these they call them gelflings. So you have Rian, Bira, and Deet. And they work together to try to like stop the Skeksis from stealing the essence out of the Gelflings to keep themselves young and powerful. So they're using a crystal that's they're not supposed to be using it for that purpose. So they realize that they can use the Gelflings to pull their essence from them so they can live forever. So it's a really cute little series. I think kids would like it. I think it shows it kind of reminds me of like real life. Like people will literally try to suck the essence out of you. And like a lot of parts on the show I feel like can relate to like real life, you know. So I'm not gonna say much about this show. It's, if you've ever watched The Dark Crystal before, you probably would enjoy this TV show. So I would definitely check this show out if you're into things like that. If you like stuff like maybe the Never Ending Story and stuff like that, you would enjoy this one. Okay, the next TV show I'm going to talk about, which is one of my would be my number one horror, not horror, but like sci-fi fantasy TV show would be my number one on that list, would be The Witcher. Now, this TV series is based on books. Now, I don't want to butcher the writer's name, so I'm going to put his name below here, because I know that I'm not going to pronounce that name right, and I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to make sure to include the name of the author. But the first season of this show was released on Netflix in December 2019, and once I watched the show and then I realized that there were books, then I had to go out and get the book sets, and I have book 1, 2, and 3 that I finished, but I know there's more books to it and I haven't finished all those yet. But they were really, really, really interesting books. Like if you really love fantasy shows that have like magic and mythical creatures and stuff like that, if that's something that really interests you, like a lot of action, romance, a little comedy, a little bit of everything, it's a really good and interesting show. And I would definitely suggest that you read the books first. And I feel like they did a pretty good job of making the TV series close to the book, in my opinion. I mean, the characters the actors in the movie do a really good job conveying the characters in the book. I feel like the actors that they chose do a very well job of conveying their characters. They really do, especially Gerald of Rivera, which is the main character on the show. I feel like he really took that character and really made it his own and really did a good job, because whenever I read the book and then I can picture, the guy from the TV series, and it matches up for me. So the plot of the show is that the crown princess, Siri, she is gonna be, they called her the child of surprise. She was granted to Gerald after he helped do a deed for the queen of I can't remember the name. Hold on, guys. So I like to make sure that I get the correct names for you guys. So I may be pronouncing this wrong too, but Calanthe, she was Siri's grandmother, and Siri had like I think they called her the child of the lion. The lion cub of Sintra. That's what they called her. That's what they were calling her. So she possessed she possessed, I bit my tongue, guys. She possessed like some really strong I guess you could say magical power that everyone knew could be used to control everything, to rule everything. And so they Siri's mother and her father promised. So Siri was promised to the Witcher through the law of surprise, which means she was promised to him because he helped save somebody and saved someone, and he was promised their firstborn child, which was her. So basically the TV show goes through him trying to find her, and him he does like jobs like fighting creatures to like make money and stuff. And there's a lot of elements to this show. There's so many different characters in here, so I'm not going to get too deep into it, but just definitely go check this one out. Maybe I'll do another video better explaining it, because I know you're like, you didn't give a good explanation of that. It's kind of hard without just trying to tell the whole thing from beginning to end, but it's on this list. It's number 1 on this list for sci-fi fantasy type of show for me. So definitely go watch it. I'm sorry I didn't really give a good enough description, but I really didn't know how to give it without just really pretty much giving it away. But just know that Gerald of Rivera, he's a witcher. He goes and he kills these mythical creatures and does jobs for money. He's trying to find a Siri that was promised to him by the law of surprise. And there's another Nilfgaard is trying to take over everything. They're trying to come in power, and they know that Siri possesses these strong I guess the magical talents that so to speak, and they're trying to find her before Gerald so they can use her to get their agenda across, so they can control everything. So that's a kind of a better explanation, a short explanation, because so much more happens in the show. All right, guys, the next fantasy TV series that I really enjoyed watching on Netflix was called The Blood of Zeus. It's an animated series, and it's about Heron and the journey that he goes through when he realizes that he's a demigod. He's the son of Zeus, which Hera was not having, because she was mad that Zeus had stepped out on her and had fathered that child. But in Greek mythology, they always have that. They always have a lot of demigods, a lot of children that are being born from the gods going with the humans. And so Hera was not having that. She was very angry about it. She felt like, how could you step out on me? I'm Hera. You're not gonna play me like that. So she was playing no games throughout the whole show, which kept it really interesting. It was a really, really good animation, a lot of good action, a good storyline, and it's definitely a good watch. So if you like animated shows, if you even like anime, if you like to watch animated shows, some people may not like to watch animated shows, but I'm telling you guys, it's definitely worth the watch. It's a really good animation. All right, guys, that's going to be all for this video. That was just a few movies and a few TV series that are like horror or fantasy, sci-fi based that you should really check out on Netflix. So that's gonna be it, guys. I got some stuff that I need to do. I need to tend to my kids. Me and my daughter are about to change the water in the fish tank because we have two fish one of them's a new fish, Cherry Blossom, and then we have Nebula, which we named off from Nebula on the Avengers, and we had a fish named Thanos that I had for almost 3 years, but he passed away sadly, which I was kind of upset because I never had a fish that long. And then so we went out and we bought another fish, which we named Ebony Maw. And we put a shell in there and he got stuck in the shell, which I guess is my fault. I didn't think that he would try to like go inside that shell and get stuck. So anyway, guys, I digress. I'm about to get off of here and end this video and go change the fish tank, guys. So that was all for this video. I hope you guys like this video. I hope that these shows will be something you may be interested in watching. So that'll be it, guys. Bye.